The chat box is open. There they are, gorgeous people. The chat box is open. David is in charge of the chat and all things tech, so please check in and let us know who you are, where in the world you are. I've got 2 copies here, both updated and expanded. This is the American and Canadian version, this UK European, I think. And chat box will also be the place to share any questions as we go. So Hal is very happy to take your questions. And I'll also save a little bit of time at the end. Just before we start, a reminder that the Shelf Help Club is the world's first dedicated self-help book club and platform, and we are all about celebrating self-development and working on our inner selves and our mental health and reframing self-help as something to be done with friends. So what a brilliant book to be starting the year on. Tonight's guest, Hal Elrod, father of 2, on a mission to elevate the consciousness of humanity one morning and one person at a time. Hal has survived several near-death experiences, including a 70 miles per hour head-on car crash with a drunk driver that left him clinically dead for 6 minutes, and a rare form of cancer with a 20 to 30% survival rate. But each time he has decided to turn these adversities into positive perspectives and practices that have now helped millions of people change their lives for the better, including, I know, several people on this call. So good evening, Hal. I'm so happy to have you here with us tonight.
Tony, I am equally excited to be here, and I love the way that you framed what Shelf Help, what this group is about, which is working on mental health and personal development with friends as a community. I love what you're doing, so thank you for leading this group and for having me on. I'm grateful.
Well, it's the second reading of the book I was just mentioning off air. So the first time we read it was in 2018. So anybody who was here then, raise your hands, let us know. So that was the original. So we're now reading the updated and expanded. And I think a lot of the new content is because there's so much new content. And as I've been reading it, I've noticed so much more. And a lot of that has been feedback from that original, from the community, the huge community, and all the people reading it. And you'll use the feedback to kind of I suppose, respond to challenges, observations.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of it was just weaving it throughout the book. But one of the big ones is I'm always asked, what's your evening routine? And for years, I was kind of almost embarrassed because it was a letdown. I go, I don't really have one. I just, put my phone on airplane mode and I lay down and go to bed. But then after more experience and research, I realized that your miracle morning really starts the night before. Right? It starts with how do you end your day to set yourself up to sleep well, first and foremost, because sleep is a big struggle for a lot of people because of our mental health and our anxiety, our challenges. There's so many things going on in the world. And so I went through a period in 2020 where I had been on chemotherapy for 3 years, and it did a number to my brain, and I stopped being able to sleep well. I was sleeping 2 to 4 hours a night for about 6 months, and I got really depressed and went down this really difficult rabbit hole, and I turned to figuring out how to master my sleep. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to share what I learned that enabled me to go from really struggling to fall asleep and stay asleep to what I call blissful bedtime. Like going to bed every night, just grateful and happy, no matter how stressful my day was. So when I was thinking about writing the new edition, we added the miracle, which you haven't gotten there yet, probably if you're just starting. But the second to the last chapter in the book is the miracle evening. It is your strategy for blissful bedtime and better sleep. So that was a big one. And then help people overcome the challenges like, I don't have time for this. I'm not a morning person. Making sure that it addressed all of those challenges or what you might call excuses. Right. And then that way it really sets every person up for success, whether you already are a morning person or you never even at this moment believe you can become a morning person. It handles all of it.
Yeah, I'd love to know in the chat how many people here don't think they are morning people, because we're going to go into that list a little bit, Hal, aren't we? But I imagine that this is what I'm feeling already from the group. Like you said, I said earlier, can I say excuses? And Hal was like, I think so. As long as it's challenges, it's resistance, it's excuses, but it's those limiting beliefs around what we've done before, isn't it? And if that's not working, then let's try something new.
Yeah, absolutely. I see here, we've got David admits he's not always a morning person. Suzanne as well. Emma. Now, Joanna's bragging. I love mornings. Okay, Joanna, we get it.
Joanne lives in Ibiza, so I feel like the sunshine might help.
Yeah, Felipa, I am and always have been an obnoxiously a morning person. I love it. So we got a mix of folks in the chat. Yeah, so if you think you're not a morning person, here's what I realized is that most human beings, most of us, we were conditioned as children to not be morning people. And you think about this, when we were growing up, most of us were woken up against our will by our parents. You're right. Mom and dad were saying, get ready for school. It's time to go. And you're going, no, I want to stay under the covers. And you think about that. Our brains were forming as we were children. And as our brains were forming, we were developing this limiting belief that says, I don't like getting up in the morning and I won't unless I'm forced to. And then when we're left to sleep in on the weekends or whatever, we sleep in. And so then we become adults and it's like, oh wait, I moved out of my house. I can sleep as long as I want. And so we create this negative belief that says that sleeping as long as I possibly can is some sort of luxury that I was robbed of as a child, but now I'm going to give it to myself. And what we realize is how you start your day, or what we don't realize, but what I talk about in the book, right? How you
Yeah.
start your day sets the tone, the context, and the direction for how you live the day. So if you start the day with resistance and procrastination and waiting till the last minute to get out of bed, you're starting the day at a deficit. But if you wake up not when you have to get up to be somewhere or do something or answer to somebody, but you get up with space and time to take care of yourself. And for those of you that have kids, they go, I have to take care of my kids. They already wake up earlier. I don't have time for myself. Or you feel guilty to take time for yourself. Realize that the best thing we can do for the people that we love is to first pour into ourselves. It's to start every day by nurturing our mental and emotional well-being so that when our kids wake up, when we face those we love or those we lead, we're in an optimal state so that we can show up at our best for other people. So, yeah, two concerns there handled in one, right? I'm not a morning person is a limiting belief. And all you do is you start waking up a little bit earlier. The miracle morning doesn't mean you have to wake up at 5 a.m. or it doesn't mean you have to do all 6 of the practices that you're going to learn in the book. You literally can wake up 15 minutes earlier and all you do is the R in SAVERS, which is the miracle morning acronym, SAVERS. The R stands for reading. Wake up 15 minutes earlier, brush your teeth, and read. And then when you get to the chapter on silence, add that and build your miracle morning slowly over time so it's easy and it's not a leap from I've never gotten up early to now I got to wake up an hour early. Just start small. That's my biggest recommendation.
Mm. And I think what comes out for me in the new book is the idea of customizing it. So
Yeah.
I did used to think it was like, it has to be 10 minutes each. I have to do 10 minutes of this, 10 minutes of that. And already I'm kind of playing with like what works. And I'm doing an app for my meditation. So that's 7 minutes. And it's just kind of working out, I think, what works for you. And I think just what came out of what you just said there as well, it's not always about being productive. And because I think as well in this group, sometimes we're training ourselves to be kinder to ourselves, lots of us. So
Yes.
it's not always about achieving and producing an output. I think it's about, you said it's about showing up. So it's like, how do you want to show up? So it's like taking control of that element of your day so that you can show up in the best way.
Yeah, you make a great point there, which is most of us are either addicted to productivity, right? Where we feel like we have to be as productive as humanly possible all the time. And that creates like almost a scarcity or deficit mindset because there's always things that don't get done. So if our mindset is the only way to win is to get everything done on my to-do list or get as much done as possible, then you almost always end the day feeling like I failed again. I didn't get everything done. To me, the miracle morning, in fact, this morning, I just woke up and I go, I'm just going to love on myself for the next hour. Like that's my miracle morning. I don't have to get anything done. There's no pressure. I got enough pressure every day, all day from the moment my feet hit the floor, right? But my miracle morning is about self-care. It's about nurturing my mental and emotional well-being. And it's about learning and growing and evolving, but from a place not of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, so I have to do miracle morning so I can be good enough. No, it's like I'm already whole and perfect, if you will, as I am, right? And from this place of inherent self-love and perfection, I'm going to keep learning and growing and evolving. So it's not from a place of deficit or scarcity. It's from a place of love and abundance that
Mm.
I want to be the best version of myself. Just like you look at, if you're a parent and you look at your child, you're like, my child's perfect. I love my child, right? And I know that I want them to learn and grow and evolve and get better. But that's just because I see this unlimited potential in my child. You've got to see that potential in yourself. See the limitless potential in you and love yourself enough to do your miracle morning in the morning, pour into yourself, nurture your mental and emotional well-being so that you can fulfill your potential throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah. And you are such a brilliant walking, talking advert for this, because when people say to you, oh, I already have, like, my life's already super challenging, or I already don't have any time, like, you have used the power of habit and the power of the morning routine and the savers. Like, you created this system for a reason, didn't you?
Yeah, well, and for me, it was very much about results and productivity when I created it. It was 2008, and I don't know if it happened in Europe, but in the U.S., it was the United States, the huge economic crash, right? 2008, our economy crashed. They called it the Great Recession, and within a matter of months, I went from having a great income. I had started my own coaching business, and a few months later, I had lost over half of my clients, lost over half of my income. I had to stop paying my mortgage. My house was foreclosed on by the bank, so bank takes my house. I canceled the gym membership. And literally, it was this downward spiral where physically, financially, mentally, and emotionally, I was at the lowest point in my life. And I was desperate for help. I called a friend of mine. I said, hey, I haven't really talked about this openly. Nobody really knows, but I'm struggling, man. I need help. What do I do? And he was a very smart business person. I thought, I need to make money. How do I do it? And he sent me on a journey to listen to a Jim Rohn audio program. And Jim Rohn said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. And when I heard that, and I'd probably heard it before, but it didn't hit the way it did in that moment, I quantified it and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want level 10 success and fulfillment in every area of my life. But if my level of success is going to parallel my level of personal development, what's my level of personal development? And I would define that as, like, what are the rituals and routines that I had in place to become a better version of myself? I was like at a 2 or 3. And I believe this is the disconnect for the majority of us, the majority of society. Everybody wants to be as happy and healthy and wealthy as they can be, but very few people have a daily personal development ritual that is at the level that it needs to be for them to become that level 10 version of themselves. And so I realized this disconnect was where I needed to dedicate time each day to my personal development to become the person that was capable of creating that level 10 success that I wanted. And that's where the Miracle Morning was born. I woke up the next day. I did all 6 of these Miracle Morning practices that are known as the savers, the acronym savers. And within 2 months of doing it, I had doubled my income in the worst economy of my lifetime. The economy did not get better, it got worse. But every day I got better and I got more knowledgeable and I got more confident, right? I kept increasing my level of personal development and I became the person I needed to be in 2 months to turn my financial situation around. And then I've used the Miracle Morning to beat cancer, to transform my mental health. Like, this is how I want you to think of this. Any goal that you have in your life, it could be around your parenting or your marriage or your finances or your physical fitness and health. The Miracle Morning is a 6-part personal development process that accelerates your ability to achieve any goal that you have in your life, as well as improve your overall quality of life. But you name it, you set a goal, and then you target all 6 of your savers toward accomplishing that goal. And now you develop the mindset and the habits and the beliefs, everything that you need to overcome the challenges and the obstacles that are in your way and achieve the outcomes that you want in your life.
Yeah, like David's just shared in the chat about, so getting sober, for instance, being a goal,
Mm,
but being happier is a goal as well, isn't it? Like you share in the book, like that was at one time, that was your focus, so you have like a whole list of books, so it just
yeah.
gives us that extra bit of kind of structure, I suppose, around, I've got this time in the morning now, what do I do with it?
Yeah, I'll give you some examples. So, Well, I'll use my real life examples. 2008, my only focus was I need to make money. Like that's it. That's like number one because I can't pay my bills and my house is being taken away. I got to make money. So, savers, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. I'll start with the R. First thing I did was I went to Amazon and I bought a book on how to book clients because I was a coach and I had lost over half my clients. So I found what's the best book on how to get clients. And I bought a book called Book Yourself Solid by Michael Port. Now, here's the thing. Many of you have probably bought a book before and then you didn't do what was in the book. You just read the book and you didn't do anything that it told you to do because it was so many things and you had the best of intentions. And then when the book was done, instead of going back through it and implementing what you learned, you just put it on the shelf, felt accomplished because you read a book, and then you picked up another book. And you repeated the same process of reading a book and not implementing it, which is kind of crazy, right? So here's the beauty of it. I'm reading this book on how to achieve or how to book more clients. Then every time I learn something actionable, I have a document that were my affirmations for the year, my written affirmations. And every time I read something, I write it in my affirmations that, oh, this is a belief I need to have. This is a strategy I'm going to employ. This is what I'm going to do, an action I'll implement. So I took the book, transferred it to my affirmations, and then I read the affirmations every single day. So it kept it top of mind. It was like, oh, this is what I'm committed to doing. This is why. This is the mindset I need. Great. So now the affirmations took the book and it put it into an actionable format that I reviewed every single day. Then the V in Savers is for visualization. Every morning, I would close my eyes, and there's two parts to Miracle Morning visualization. Number one, visualize your ideal outcome. That's the most commonly taught, right? Picture yourself, getting on or crossing the finish line or cashing your $1 million check or like whatever, right? But you see it. The reason that's valuable is you're creating a compelling emotional state that is tied to the outcome so that it keeps pulling you toward that outcome. Mm-hmm. However, the second part of visualization, which is the most important part, is to visualize yourself. By the way, I call this mental rehearsal. Mm-hmm. Visualize yourself doing the thing today that you must do that will move you one step closer to that outcome you just visualized. And when you do it, visualize it with energy and enthusiasm and confidence. So now I'm reading the book. I've got the affirmations that are articulating the most important parts of the book that I need to do. Then every day I'm mentally rehearsing myself doing the things I'm affirming to take my life forward, right? And so you go through, and then the journaling, the last S in Savers is for scribing. Now I'm journaling. Okay, I've out of my affirmations. What's the number one actionable commitment that I'm going to write down that I'm going to do today, no matter what? Write that down. What's number two? What's number three? So you see, that's just 4 of the 6 savers. But you see how I had an outcome. I was reading a book to learn how to do it. I was affirming what I needed to do. I was visualizing doing it. Then I was journaling to clarify the most important things. And so that's how, take any outcome, improve your marriage, run a marathon, write a book, you name it, and you apply it through all 6 of the savers, and it turbocharges, if you will, it accelerates your ability to get to that outcome.
Yeah, and they're all building on each other, aren't they? They're all like linked. So like holistically, then the power is like exponential. Like that feels amazing. And so in the book, so the savers, maybe we'll talk. Should we do the savers now? Should we go through them?
Because I just touched on them. We might as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Because I think I like in the book that sometimes it's like do's and don'ts. So you have some ideas around each of them. So silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing. Yeah.
And I'm gonna. So all right. So let's start. We'll go in order. Silence, the first S in Savers. This was originally meditation, but Mavers was a weird acronym, right? So silence. What I love about that is that it incorporates different forms of silence. So meditation is only one form of silence that is scientifically proven to lower your cortisol levels, therefore lower your stress levels, allow you to get centered for the day, get calm, or Prayer is another form of silence. So you might start your day with prayer and praying to God and asking for wisdom and whatever your spiritual beliefs are. It's an opportunity to get quiet and give yourself that time. You might pray and just thank God for your life. It might be an experience of gratitude. It could also be breath work or deep breathing, right? Focusing on your breath. Again, scientifically proven to calm your nervous system. But here's the point. Most of us start our day not with silence, but by grabbing our smartphone. And as soon as you do that, you are now in a state of reactivity. You're reacting to notifications and text messages and emails, right? And so you've started your day in a state of reactivity versus I have a rule. I'm not allowed to open my phone until I've done my silence for the day, unless I'm doing a guided meditation. I was telling you, Tony, the Miracle Morning app is now almost as popular as the Miracle Morning book. So if y'all are app users, there's an app for you that's like your little accountability buddy, and there's guided practices in the app. So if I'm doing a guided meditation, that's the only time that I turn my phone, open my phone, and hit play, and I'll listen to a guided meditation. But if I'm doing prayer or I'm doing breath work, whatever, it's in a period of silence and you get centered for the day. Affirmations, the A in Savers, this is, I believe, the most effective but the most misunderstood form of personal development. And it's misunderstood because affirmations have a bad rap. Either we've been taught to lie to ourselves, such as, if you're struggling financially and you want to be wealthy, just affirm, I am wealthy. I am wealthy. The problem is, though, affirmations, in order to be effective, they have to be rooted in truth. If you're struggling financially and you're not in a good place, but you're affirming I am wealthy or I am rich or I am a millionaire, you're creating an internal conflict, as if we don't have enough of them, right? But you're creating an internal conflict that now you're going, I am wealthy, and then your reality is you're going, no, you're not. Your bank account's negative. What are you talking about? And you're now fighting with yourself. So the first problem with affirmations, the way they've been taught, is lying to yourself doesn't work. The second problem with affirmations is that you can't use this flowery passive language that produces an almost magical result independent of any effort. You might have heard this very popular affirmation that says, I am a money magnet. Money flows to me effortlessly and in abundance. You can ask anyone who has built a fortune. I don't think they'll be like, you ask them, how'd you do it? And they go, oh, I just became a money magnet. And then I didn't have to do anything. Money flowed to me effortlessly and in abundance. It was amazing, right? Like, that's not how it works. Now, the reason that affirmation has stood the test of time is I believe it gives people a delusional sense of relief from their money woes, right? So if you look at your bank account and your balance is, low or negative, and you go, oh my gosh, I need to do my affirmation so I can feel better. You go, I'm a money magnet. Oh, that feels better. Money flows to me effortlessly. You go, oh, thank goodness, because I don't have any motivation right now. I'm so struggling. So affirmations, you can't affirm something that's magically going to happen. So right now, I'm going to teach you 3 steps to create affirmations that are rooted in truth, that are practical, that are actionable, and that are results oriented. Step number 1, affirm what you're committed to. Affirm what you're committed to. So once you're clear on what you want in life, once you know your goals, right? I want to make more money, or I want to increase my income, or I want to be happier, or I want to lose 20 pounds, or once you're clear on what you want in your life, you have to transition it from a want, a desire, to a commitment. We do not get what we want in life just because we want it, right? Otherwise, everyone would have this amazing, magical life of their dreams, because everybody wants to be happy and healthy and wealthy, right? But we don't get what we want until we commit to do whatever it takes to create what we want, to achieve what we want, right? And so step 1 is phrase your affirmation, I am committed to blank no matter what. There is no other option. So step one, I am committed to blank. No matter what, there is no other option. Now, the blank, by the way, it could be an outcome or it could be a habit. So you could say, I'm committed to losing 10 pounds this year. Or you could say, I'm committed to exercising 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week at 7 a.m., right? So either one of those is going to improve your life. It's going to move you forward. And I would honestly say, choose whichever one resonates with you more. I used to be very outcome focused because I was in sales back in the day. I sold Cutco kitchen knives, in case you guys have heard of Cutco. Um, but I was always trying to hit certain goals. Like my commitment was I need to sell this much to win the company trip or whatever. I was very outcome focused. Now in my life, I'm much more habit focused. I don't care how much weight I lose or put on. Like that's not my concern. For me, it's I want to be doing the things every day that are strengthening my body, that are strengthening my mind, that are nurturing my mental and emotional well-being, that are nurturing my relationship with my wife and my 15-year-old daughter and my 12-year-old son. So I'm less outcome focused than I used to be. So I still have some goals that are outcome goals. But I'll give you an example. When I was brand new to the Miracle Morning, my goal was to change 1 million lives one morning at a time. So that meant I needed to sell 1 million copies of the Miracle Morning. And in year one, here's a little bonus lesson. Year one, my goal in my first year was to somehow reach 1 million people with the Miracle Morning. I fell short of my goal by 987,000 copies. Okay. This is like a bonus lesson about goal setting. Now, was I discouraged? Yes, a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me 76 years, I think, at that pace to sell 1 million copies of the book. But an important lesson with goals is you realize that sometimes your goal, it just is going to take longer than you thought. So for me, it didn't happen in a year. It didn't happen in 2 years. It took 6 years to finally reach that goal. Now my goal is broad. It's to elevate the consciousness of humanity. It's not measurable. What is measurable is that I'm going to be on 200 podcasts this year. That's my commitment. More podcasts than I've ever done before 10 years later after the book was written. And Tony, by the way, thank you for having me on because this is one of those 200. But the point is, step one of your affirmations, I am committed to blank. The blank can be an outcome or it can be a habit. No matter what, there's no other option. Step two, affirm why it's a must for you. So step two are the reasons why this is so important to you and to the people in your life. And sometimes the people in your life, it's more important to clarify that because sometimes you'll let yourself down, but when you realize, wait a minute, I need to get in great shape for my grandkids or for my children, or, right? I need to make money to provide financial security for my family. Like very often when we think about ourselves, we can let ourselves down or settle for less than we're really capable of. But when you really look at the people in your life that you love, you realize, if nothing else, I've got to set an example for the people I love. I've got to achieve my full potential because how else am I going to help them do that for themselves? I've got to lead by example. It's one of my beliefs that I have a responsibility to fulfill my potential in life so that I can help every person in my life do the same, right? It's not just about me. It's about doing it in service of others. So that's the second step is write down the reasons why your number one commitment is so important for you. And step three, affirm which actions you will take and when you will take them to ensure that you follow through. When are you going to do the things that you need to do to achieve that commitment that you have in your life? So those are the 3 steps. And I have that affirmation formula for each area of my life. As a dad, I am committed to blank no matter what. It's a must for me because, and in order to follow through, here's the things that I'm going to do and when I'm going to do them. As a husband, in my health, in my fitness, in my finances, right? With every goal and every role, I follow those 3 steps for my affirmations. And I've got a page. Actually, now it's 2 pages. It was 1, but I'm always adding it. It's on Microsoft Word. I'm always editing it and adding to it. It keeps growing and growing. But Tony, did you have any follow-up questions on that before I move on?
Well, one of my questions was actually, yeah, should you have one major affirmation, but you kind of answered that one. But would you like read these out to yourselves every day, like across all of those roles and goals?
Yeah, for the most part, yes. Sometimes, the miracle morning you mentioned earlier, there's a chapter in the book on customizing your miracle morning. And you there's no wrong or right way to do it. Like if you wake up tomorrow morning 15 minutes earlier and you brush your teeth and you start reading the book, that's a miracle morning. You're waking up before you have to wake up to take time for your self-care. That's a miracle morning. If you do
Mhm.
all 6 of the savers, great. If you do 2 or 3, great. If you do whatever order you want. You could start with exercise to get yourself awake, and then go into your reading, and then into your journaling, then back to your affirmation. You do whatever you want. And so with the miracle morning, I've got all my affirmations written down, but on any given day, I might want to focus my energy on just one area of my life. And so I know those other affirmations are there and I can read them tomorrow, right? So you don't have to read all of them every day. Nothing about the miracle morning is an all or nothing pursuit. It's
Mm.
really what works for you. And I'll give you an example. Um, there's one of my close friends, Brianna Greenspan. She leads the Miracle Morning in Schools program, which is really cool. She's brought the Miracle Morning to thousands of students and teachers and principals. Um, but she every day during her silence, she always starts with silence, and she goes, "Which of the savers do I need this morning?"
Oh.
And she actually will have her journal there. So it's almost like she's doing 2 of them just to figure out which. But she'll go, "I need to read my affirmations today. I really need to meditate this morning, and I need to read that book that I'm on," right? So she'll actually listen to herself and in the silence to find out, what do I need today? And sometimes she'll go, "You know what? I'm gonna read I'm gonna read one affirmation. I'm gonna write what I'm grateful for, but then I'll spend 5 minutes maybe on those, but then I'm gonna read for 45 minutes because I really want to go deep into this book I've been reading because I need to get the strategies to improve this area of my life." See, so it's
Mm.
completely customizable.
Yeah. And just back to silence quickly then. Do you generally start with silence, Hal, in your
Yes,
routine? Yeah.
almost always start with silence. Yeah, I like to just it's a combination of prayer and meditation. So
Mhm.
it's a little bit of both. Yeah,
Do you think walking outside with no tech could be considered silence?
totally. That you bring up a really good point. You can stack your savers and combine them. Honor a Quarter, who helped me write the different Miracle Mornings. There's a whole series of books. She recorded her affirmations. She records them into her voice recorder on her phone. And then while she's on the treadmill, she
Mhm.
listens to her affirmations. It's her telling her affirmations. And when she's done with that, she listens to an audiobook. That's her reading. So while she's on the treadmill, she's
Yeah.
doing her other savers at the same time. So yeah, you can definitely combine silence with exercise. So on your walk, right, you could be listening, doing your silence, then listening to your affirmations, then visualizing. You can combine them all.
I love it, multitasking. And
Yeah.
we have quite a few Atomic Habits fans here, so I think that like idea of stacking the habits will
Stacking, yep.
definitely appeal. Okay, so visualization, you touched on that already. Kind of how not to do it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and how to do it, right? So it's visualize the ideal outcome.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then the most important part is part two. So I would spend 60 seconds visualizing your outcome. And again, make it so compelling that you're like, I'm gonna do this, right? Like I'm excited. You've got to generate the clarity through the visualization that generates excitement to move toward it. And
Yeah.
then the most important part, and spend 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes walk like a movie. I'll give you an example. When I was training for an ultra marathon, I visualized crossing the finish line. That got me excited. But then I'd spend 3 minutes visualizing my alarm on my phone going off at 7 a.m. That was time to go train. Now,
Mm.
if I didn't visualize, my human nature would be like, I don't feel like running today. It's cold. I'll do it tomorrow. But what I visualized is the alarm goes off. I turn it off. I would then see myself get up off the couch, go into my bedroom, get dressed in my running clothes, head out the front door, open the front door, see the sidewalk. And as I'm doing this, I can see the visualization because I did it so many times. Then I would tell myself, I'd go through my affirmations one more time while I would picture the sidewalk. I would go, I'm committed to running 52 miles on October 29th, 2009, no matter what, there's no other option. I'm doing this to be overcome my limiting belief that I'm not a runner so that I can accomplish every goal I ever set for the rest of my life. In order to follow through, I will read the non-runner's marathon trainer and I will follow the training plan to a T no matter what. Let's go. And then I'd visualize myself going for the run. So guess what happened in real time? When the alarm on my phone went off at 7 a.m., I wasn't tempted to procrastinate because that's not what I visualized and mentally rehearsed that morning. I would turn my phone off almost like I was programmed, which I was, programming my subconscious mind through that mental rehearsal. I would get up, go in my bedroom, get dressed, head out the front door. When I open the front door, I'd be flooded with those affirmations and those energetic, that excitement. Then I'd go for the run. That's the
Mm.
power of using visualization that way.
And it's about, so it sounds like as well, it's about the feeling that goes along. So when you're visualizing, it's kind of getting
Yes.
that emotion and getting that feeling as well.
It's as much, if not more, about the feeling. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now we do what we feel like. So you've got to generate the feelings that you need to do what you need to do.
Richard said he'll put his running gear out the night before this weekend. Or
Awesome.
evening. Okay, so we're on to exercise then. So
This
exercise,
is,
is this about moving the body to get energetic or just
yeah,
stretching?
that's it. You don't need, this is not, now, if you've got time to go to the gym in the morning or do your full blown workout, great. But what this is really about is anywhere from 1 to 5 or 10 minutes of exercise just to get the blood flowing to your brain, the oxygen to your brain, so you have more mental clarity. Not to mention, you wake up your nervous system. And so now, here's a way to think about it. If you get up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, I'm doing Miracle Morning. I'm so tired. Like, I feel like I was hit by a truck. I'm so tired. And then if you just did 60 seconds of jumping jacks, 60
Mm,
seconds, at the end of those 60 seconds, you go from I'm so tired to, okay, I'm awake. That's the point of morning exercise. Now, if you want to do your push-ups and your sit-ups and get your full-on, 5 or 10 minute workout in, that's great, yoga, whatever. But it's not about quantity as much as it is about quality of moving your body and waking up your brain and your nervous system.
sure. And it's whatever suits you, right? So quite often we call it, like we'll say movement instead of exercise. If exercise
Totally.
freaks you out, then movement is
Totally.
cool too.
Yep.
And then reading, I suppose, we know about reading, but I
Yep.
like the idea of like focusing it on a goal. And I think you said it might have been in the movie or the book that you don't let yourself, well, this was at the time, you don't let yourself read a business book until you've read a book about being about family, about being a good
Yeah.
husband. I love that.
Yep. And that's still, it's not 100%, but at least 50%. Most of the time, yeah, I have a self-imposed rule that I have to read a book on being on marriage or parenting, and it's to remind me that, yeah, that's my number one priority. Business comes
Yeah.
second. And then number two, it's to remind me that, or to teach me actual strategies to be a better dad. And it works. I'm reading a book called Boys Will Be Boys. And now I just started these father-son adventure days with my son. We had our first one last Friday. We're doing every Friday. I
Mhm.
wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have even thought of that had I not had this rule that I've got to read a parenting book every day.
Yeah. And it's about getting that clarity, as you kind of touched on already. It's like what's important to you. And I think I've heard you say before, like you always used to say, I'm a family man, family's the most important thing. But then when you looked at your schedule, or even when you
Yeah.
looked at your morning routine, it's like, well, it doesn't show up there. So it's kind
Yeah.
of shifting priorities.
Yeah, it's got to go from your heart to your head to your action, right? To your schedule and to your actions. Yeah.
Mm. And then scribing, journaling, for the final.
So journaling, the my favorite or the simplest way to do it, and what I've done for a long time is I learned this from the 5 minute journal, which is a very popular journal that you fill in. But it's number one, I look at my to-do list for the day. Sorry, that's number two. Number one is what am I grateful for? And I write down what I'm grateful for. I think it's one of the most, I mean, there's so much scientific proof through research and studies that one of the keys to increasing your level of happiness is to write down and focus on what you're grateful for every day. And when I say focus, there's a difference between intellectual gratitude, which is just writing it down, and then reflecting on it, looking at what you wrote down, putting your hand on your heart and going, closing your eyes and really thinking about how blessed you are to have that thing in your life that you wrote down, whatever it was, whatever it is, your health, your roof over your head, your kids, your spouse, whatever it is, right? So I feel the gratitude. And the second thing I write down is I look at my to-do list for the day and I go, all right, I got 10 things I could do today. What in order, what are the top 3, number 1 most important that will move the needle in my life or business that I commit to do first before I move on to the rest? And so that miracle morning, those savers, any one of those will change your life. When you do all 6, and even if it's not all 6 every day, but I would encourage anyone for your first 30 days, commit to do at least 5 minutes of all 6 of those. So it'd be a 30-minute routine. You can do 10 minutes if you want of each, which is 60 minutes, whatever you have time for. But if you do all 6, you're at the beginning, it'll feel clunky and you'll be like, oh, wait, I ran out of time and whatever. But day by day by day, you will acclimate to these 6 practices. And at the end of the 30 days, you're going to go, okay, I've got these down, and you're going to know which ones you want to invest more time in. Like for me, I do longer in reading, longer in exercise, less in visualization, less in right? So I really customize and put the pieces together based on what best serves me on any given day.
And what about the idea, though, Hal, of we all do the ones that we like the most or that are easiest? Maybe we should be paying
I don't
attention
think
to
that's
some of the others.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a bad thing. I mean, that's kind of why I say that's a bad thing in the beginning, because you're not giving yourself a fair shot at benefiting from the practices. That's why I said in the beginning, just have the discipline that even if I suck at them, I'm at some of them, I'm going to do all 6 savers, 5 to 7 days a week for the first 30 days, no matter what, because then you'll get over the resistance to the one because you didn't like. You're like, oh yeah, the first 10 days of visualization were awkward or affirmations, but then I got the hang of it and then I got good at it and now I know the benefits. So after 30 days, then you can really play with the routine. But to your point, if you don't do the ones you don't like in the beginning, you don't understand how transformative they can be for you in the long run.
Yeah, sure. And I think you say everything's hard before it gets easy, right?
That's it. Yeah.
I love this quote from your guy, Jim Rohn, your favorite. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. And so as to your point of like, do the 30 days, expect it to suck sometimes, expect to not be great at it, and give ourselves that kind of like gift of doing it. And once we get to the 30 days, then deciding how it's going to look going forward.
Absolutely. And, one important tip for anyone that struggles to get out of bed in the morning is keep your alarm clock across the room. If it's your phone, do not keep it on your bedside table, because your level of discipline in the first moment that your alarm goes off may be a 1 or a 2 out of 10, right? And so it's but if your phone is across the room and you've decided before bed, that's important. There's a whole chapter in the book on the 5 steps snooze-proof wake-up strategy.
Yeah, so good.
And you might want to fast forward to that chapter. Like if right. But one of the tips is keep your alarm clock across the room, because if you have to get out of bed and walk across the room to turn your alarm off, well, now you're up. Now you're awake. It's far easier your discipline level goes from a 1 or a 2 to like a 6 or a 7, maybe 8, just by getting out of bed and going to turn off the alarm. And then from there, brush your teeth, wash your face, and now you're up. Now you can stay up. It's not that hard.
Now you got some stuff to do. Laura's cheating. She's got Alexa.
I saw that, Laura. That's funny.
Okay, we've got a few more minutes with Hal, guys. So if like literally, do we have time for one question maybe, Hal?
I do. Let's do it.
Jeff's seen the time. If anybody has a question, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, I obviously have loads, but I think David had one earlier about journal prompts. Like, do you use specific prompts, which you kind of answered, I suppose, with the
what am I grateful for? What are the most important actions? And like the Miracle Morning app has a whole variety of different prompts. So, if you want to check out the Miracle Morning app, you can download that. And that's got a variety of journal prompts. I think there's over 500 journal prompts in there. So, and we're adding new ones all the time. But yeah, those are my favorite is just, what am I grateful for? And what are the most important things for me to get done today?
Great. Well, we'll let you go, Hal. I know you're a busy man, so appreciate your time. Guys, if you want to stay on, then we can share some links and things like that. But Hal, thank you so much. It's been so nice
Thank you
to
so
meet
much,
you.
Tony. Everybody, it's been such an honor. And when my next book comes out, or if you guys do the Miracle Equation, I would love to come back.
We could do. We'll have you back for sure.
Awesome.
See you
All
soon.
right. Bye, everybody.
Take care, Hal. Bye.